Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're new. So in this reading I'm just going to talk about the energy that I'm picking up on at the moment based on observations and psychic insight, and then I'm going to continue this with a spiritual guidance extended reading that will be available for members here of my channel or on Patreon. The links will be in the pinned comment if you're interested. So, for this reading, I've mentioned recently about some strange things happening to people in the collective. I'm wondering if any of you have seen anything. I often see things that some people don't see. That's why I'm psychic, I guess. But then some people then maybe start to see those things, or some people already are seeing them as well, if they're spiritually awakened. So by the way, what came through to me in meditation before this reading was the title, which is Spiritually Dead versus Spiritually Awakened. Which one are you? I know a lot of you watching are very spiritually awakened, awakening, because we're all awakening all the time. But I've mentioned those who are spiritually dead, soulless. We've already got a lot of those in the world anyway. But I've seen some people recently who are kind of getting consumed by the darkness, and they're changing. I think some of you from the comments have said you've noticed this in some people around you. Just wanted to say, be mindful of being around those people, even if it's loved ones, because you can absorb that energy and they're trying to bring down your vibration. So if you have to remove yourself, then do that, I would say. Something happened last week though that was quite interesting. So I woke up, or I was woken up, I would say, really early in the morning. I can't remember the time, maybe 2 or 3 a.m. And I could hear a man speaking. It sounded like he was out on the street. I didn't get up and have a look, but he had quite a raucous voice. And he was talking to himself, and it sounded like he was being tormented. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but he really did sound not in pain, but like I'd say mentally in pain, actually, more than physically. It's like he was calling out, almost like he was speaking to something, maybe a spirit. So that's what I mean about, people who are getting influenced. And these are people who are already in quite a low vibration. They don't have faith. They could have addictions, depression, be on lots of medication. So their soul is already being suppressed, let's say. And their awareness, their intuition. Just to make a comment on that, if you consume alcohol, chemicals, let's just say, lots of pills, then that does suppress your gifts. It closes your crown chakra, if you drink in particular. So then you can't receive downloads and channel and be a very light energy. Instead, it will push you down. So just wanted to point that out to any of you who are wondering maybe why you sometimes get a bit fuzzy in the head. Take a look at your habits. It's up to you obviously what you do, but I'm just sharing this as further sort of guidance, let's say. So I believe I was woken up that morning for a reason, to hear that. I'm seeing that it is intensifying, and obviously it's going to get worse. I've shared in my predictions what I believe will happen. to those souls. Check those predictions readings if you haven't seen them. So that's the first thing. The other one that's quite interesting, again, something happened for a reason, I believe, to me. And this is related to the last reading I did on my channel. It was a tea leaf reading. So in my tea leaf readings, I share visions and predictions, personal messages for some people, whatever comes through. And it's interesting, I was going to mention in that reading about the sort of selfish energies out there in the world and the way that they're getting worse, but I didn't mention it. And then, funnily enough, in the comments, 2 people came along and they just wrote a comment saying, do a reading on blah 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 case, true crime case, and that was it. And you see, a lot of those people that do that would fall into that category of selfish. I've just got to put it out there. I'm a spiritual teacher. I use these things as examples. I'm not pointing out those people, so to speak. So in their mind, they're thinking, I'd like a reading on that, so I'm going to ask for it. And that's it. They're just fixed on one thing. But what I'd ask those people to do, and viewers listening, is think outside the box. Why have you clicked on that video? First of all, how much energy do you think I put in to that reading and time? Did you even watch the video? I think some people see a new video come up and just click on and write, oh, I'd like this. This is what I want. Want. Greed, greed, greed. That's what we see in society. We see it with a lot of people, but I see it in the comments and I'm seeing it increasing. So I can take it, but at the same time, as I said before, I'm a spiritual teacher, not a doormat. If you come along and want to suggest a reading, sure, do it. I'm not saying you can't do that. So for those who've jumped to conclusions and are thinking I'm saying you can't suggest readings, no, that's not what I'm saying. It's about how you do it. If you come along to, say, even this reading, why not say, oh, thanks, Beth, for your time and energy. And then you might be able to say, have you thought about doing a reading on this case or that case, whatever it is? So take a step back before you write a comment, not just on my content, on other people's content where they've put a lot of time and effort into doing it. What's your agenda? Do you want something more? You've just got a free reading or a free video, whatever it is you've watched. It's the first thing you think, oh, I want more. Or is it you take a step back and think, wow, I got a lot from that reading. I'm going to express my thanks and gratitude to that person for what they've shared with me. I've learnt something. I've grown as a person. As I said, that's why we're all here. Or is your agenda, I want more, more, more? So, as I said, just be mindful because, in terms of the reading you're putting those comments on and the way you do it. I'll leave it at that, but people do get kicked off and blocked because, as I said, I'm here to teach. I'll teach it first. If you keep doing it, your comments probably won't be seen again. And I think that a lot of people are that way due to our society, due to the way it's evolved, not all in a good way, because people can get what they want like that. You can order something, get it within an hour or the same day. People can get anything they want, essentially, nowadays. And there's a reason for that. It's been to make people needy, greedy, want. Instant gratification, which takes away the pleasure that we used to get in life years ago when things were simpler. And also the other thing I would say is people that don't see the value in things. That's another thing that I've noticed. So you can go on a certain website that's Chinese, begins with a T, and you can get things for £1, free delivery. And people are like, wow, yeah, I'll get that. Rather than getting the same thing for £20 on another website, but on the Chinese one, it's a counterfeit. But people still get it. They can get it, cheaper price, oh well, yeah, I'll have that. Throwaway society, isn't it? But the other thing you've got to think about is, I'll give an example actually again in terms of, it's relevant to what I do, tarot. Tarot cards are sold on that website. Someone pointed that out to me. They said, oh, but I could get you cards on there, they're cheaper, when I mentioned my Amazon wish list. Because on Amazon they're generally genuine, unless you get individual sellers who are selling fakes. But on the other website, I suppose I've mentioned Amazon, I'll mention this one, Temu is the name. They're counterfeits. And they're taking away from the publisher and the creator of the deck. They're taking the profit instead of the people who created it. Is that fair? Again, it's people that do these things because they're enticed. Oh, I can get that quickly, I'm going to get that. But they don't step back and think and reflect. As I said about comments, same thing. So I'm bringing this up, I've been guided to bring it up because I'm a spiritual teacher, just to ask people to reflect before you leave a comment, before you go off and purchase something, whatever it is you're doing. Just reflect on what that company is as well, that kind of thing. Because all of this leads to dependency that I've mentioned before. And what's the end goal with them? They want your ID. And eventually you can only buy and sell, go online if you have this ID. So think about that as well. The ultimate agenda, why they want everything online, why they want people to be so needy. Because if you need all these things, then you'll need that ID, won't you? But if you detach, say, I don't need all these things, remove things from your life, get rid of them. Like Jesus said in the Bible, he said, just get rid of stuff, declutter. Detach, I would say as well, like I've said before, from social media, and then you won't need it, you'll be fine. The day when everything collapses, which is coming. Something else I wanted to say in this reading, this has all come through in my meditation before this reading, by the way. I'm guided sometimes to do it in this way and to just share my teaching. As I said, I'm going to do a follow-on spiritual guidance reading, and I sometimes do spiritual guidance in my readings on my channel. And I know there are some people out there watching, or just in the collective as well, who think, oh, I don't need spiritual guidance, I'm off. Fair enough. But do you know something? It's those who are humble and in fact already spiritually awake who want to learn more. They want guidance. They have a thirst for knowledge. because that's why we're here, to grow and change all the time and evolve. So those that watch those readings are generally that type. Those that don't are generally those who have a sense of grandiosity. They think they know it all, therefore they don't need any guidance. They don't need to grow and learn because they know it all. Probably narcissists. I'm not saying any of you are that, but you might know types like that. That's why I'm bringing this up. Have you ever tried having a debate with a narcissist? Pretty difficult because it's my way or the highway with them. You know, they think they know the answer and that's it. They won't hear anything else. It's a very rigid way of thinking that they have. Whereas you might sort of listen to their point of view, share your own. You know, you've got a wider perspective, let's say. But anyway, yeah, so those who don't want to learn and grow are stuck, spiritually dying or dead. That's why I'm bringing this up. And in fact, with narcissists, I'd say they're the most difficult ones to change because it's a very rigid mentality, as I said. And they'll often be attracted to you if you're an empath, narcissist, empath, until you empower yourself and walk away from them, because you'll notice they bring your energy down. So again, it's another thing to think about if there's anyone like that in your life, or maybe there was in the past. This might resonate with some of you. Before this reading, I was thinking about politicians as well, governments. Where do you think they're at on the spectrum? Put it in the comments if you wish. Do you think they're spiritually dead or dying, in the middle, or awakening? We can't generalise, obviously, with all of them, but there are a lot of narcissists within governments. Funny that I mentioned them before, because they all want power, glory, control over the people. They think they know what's best. They decide. Well, it's not even them that decide, is it? It's the puppet master behind the curtain telling them what to do. So they all do it. But there's no vote. There's no democracy in our world for that reason. They've got an agenda. We need to see through it. We need to see what they're doing and why they're doing it. As I said, that's what I'm trying to share with you all in this reading, in terms of the way people are changing. Because I've seen that it's got worse in people. As I said about the selfish ones, not everyone is like that. I'm not saying that. There are some very gracious, grateful people out there, especially in the comments, which is so wonderful. But I'm seeing those that have that needy, maybe addictive mindset are sort of getting worse, and it's like they're not even seeing what they're doing. And not just those people, other people out there in the world. So you step out your door, and I mean, a simple example, walking along the street, someone's getting out their car, you're walking in their direction, they're getting out their car to go into their house, and they just walk straight past. They don't stop and say, oh, after you. You don't get that anymore in this world like we used to. I'm thinking like the 60s, 70s, it was very different, wasn't it? Those of you who were around at that time will know that. And I think that's why when the world shifts, a lot of leaders will be people from that time, because you know what it's like to have been in both worlds, to then help this world evolve, let's say. So I'm going to finish that there, everyone. I was guided to do it in this way today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments what you feel, what you see. As I said, I'm now going to extend this reading for members. and do some spiritual guidance for those of you who feel you need it. So that will be available, as I said, for members of my channel and Patreon members. If you'd like to join, please do. You'll get additional other content as well. There'll be another members reading going out for members of this channel later on this week. You've all voted for that one. So I'll see you there for that as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.